Alrighty, folks. It is Thursday, the 2nd of March today. And I've been working on this spray rig most of the day, and I worked on it pretty hard last weekend. But I've just about got it together. About the only thing I've got left to do right now, other than some little minor things going on I've got to situate, is the wiring for my suction controls here, and the pressure line, the remote pressure line will screw in right there, and putting my spray tips on and whatnot. But it's pretty much all here now. There's some things I'm gonna have to change out, adjust, some issues I just found a few minutes ago. One thing I don't like is right here, this boom, when they're folded up, hits this T right here. I'm afraid it's going to break that T, so I'm trying to decide what I can do, maybe about putting a spacer or something in over here to give that a little bit more room up here, but we shall see. I got a little issue right here with this metal is hitting this nozzle when I fold it up, and you know, the people that design these things and engineer them, and you know, they may be watching for all I know, things like this should be thought of, should be found, should be known. But I guess the deal is you normally wouldn't have a diaphragm body nozzle on this kind of boom. It would just end right here, so it would never hit. But somebody should have thought about that, because I mean, this is a common thing to have these diaphragm nozzles. Now this one just barely touches when it lays down, so it's not really an issue, but I've got to figure those items out. The other item I've got, and this is absolutely crazy. My pump here, I've got a chain on it down there. This is my pressure side, the out. This gray hose is my in. In the past, I've always had a clear suction hose that has like a white spiral in it. It's basically a hose that can't suck and collapse from the suction of the pump. So I went and got this. I actually got this hose when I got the sprayer, because I knew I needed some. I told them, I said I need some suction hose, and they just give it to me. Well, I didn't really realize what they'd give me, sadly enough. But this gray hose is, I don't believe, chemical sprayer hose at all. It's very stiff, I don't think it would collapse. If you look at this tag right here, it says electrical. This is electrical conduit. I think right there it says electrical or something on it, but this is an flexible electrical conduit. And I cut it and put it on there. The good thing is it fits really loose on these barbs. So I got a piece here, which is the piece coming from the tank. But I could get my fingernail up in that. Of course, I clamped them down, but this ain't gonna work. This has got to go. So I've got to find some suction hose that won't collapse. I called today, local co-op. I thought might have some, but the smallest they had was an inch. And this is all plumbed 3/4, so I'll have to find some 3/4 suction hose. But while I'm under here, you can see here's my agitation line coming in. What I've made is I used one of these fill ports I already had, or valves. So it's a it's a port and a valve all in one. So I've got my fill port right here, and it's not in the ideal location, but I mean I can get to it good enough. But I was able to take these bolts here and drill holes in the frame and put it right there. It was a good location for it, and it also set up real nice for me to make this piece or put this together. So I've got my valve right here for the tank, the main shut off to the tank, which I can access from up here. I left me a hole right here to get to it down here, or I can reach it right here pretty easy. And I was going to mount the filter, use these mounting holes right here, but it so worked out I could tee it off this right here. So I've got it right here where I can grab it from the back. So it's, you know, it's not too bad. And then there's this conduit again running out from it. So that I got to redo that. That's crazy they give me that. I don't know why. I mean, y'all can comment and let me know if y'all have ever seen such a thing used in a sprayer before, but I don't think that's right. So it comes out of the tank, goes through the valve, goes through the filter to the pump, through the pump, and then it comes up this hose right here. It's 3/4 line. Now I've got some more of this that I could use for my suction line, but I'm afraid this could collapse. I'm not sure that this is actual rated for suction, so it's pretty stiff. Of course, it's cold out here today, but I don't think that's true suction line. But anyway, this is pressure line coming in. I guess you could call this my manifold or whatever back here, but basically my section control. I've got a Hardy pressure gauge here just for reference from the rear of the sprayer. Coming off this right here is my pressure gauge. Whoops. Up here. So I got one I can see from the cab, just 3/8 line running up. Just U-bolted that. I already had that from my previous sprayer, the one before the Hardy. I had that left laying around. So it comes in here. Here's my bypass valve. It's basically a pressure regulator. This is my main pressure regulator, but this is my bypass valve. So if these valves are shut off, I'm going to set this guy to where the pressure will bypass the sections and over to my return. And again, there's a port for my remote pressure gauge, which will be on the T-Jet controller. That's yet to be hooked up. So now I got my 3 sections. They're running out here to the boom. So the center section is the middle control here, and then these sides run out to the wings, the main pressure regulator. I go out and I've got a valve here. I've got this valve here for a specific reason. I'll tell you here in a minute. And I got a little T off here, and this runs to my agitation at the bottom of the tank, and this runs to the return on the top of the tank. So it's pretty simple setup. It's not that complicated. It did take a while to piece all this together, but it is all here. So other than that crazy suction line, which I'm probably going to put water in it and test it out with that. But I may do that on Saturday just to check everything, but you know, it'll be okay. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I got a few of these other little issues I got to figure out. Oh yeah, this valve, the reason this valve is here is the sprayer I had for the Hardy. I would take this hose right here loose from this pressure gauge, and I could put a air line in here with the valve. And when I got ready to winterize this spray rig, or if it was going to freeze and I needed to get the water out of it, I would basically go up in the tractor and turn these I'd turn these valves on one at a time, and I would come over here with the air hose and blow air in here, and it would blow blow all these lines out. It'd build enough pressure to open these diaphragm bodies and blow this out. The problem is you got to be able to shut your return off. So that's why this valve is here, so I can shut that off, and that way all that air pressure will run down and out, and I can blow the boom out. So I can completely blow the boom out of any fluid in it. Then I can go back in, turn these valves off, pour antifreeze in the tank, start the tractor up, and open this valve back up and let the system circulate antifreeze through it, and then we were winterized, ready to go. So that's why that valve's there. On my last one I had 2 valves. I actually had a valve on this line and I had a valve on the agitation line, but it was all plumbed in 3/4 line, and I had to turn one of them off to build up enough pressure to actually spray with. So I'm gonna try this one with the 1/2 inch lines and see what I get, because everything was already on here for 1/2 inch. So we'll see how that works out. But that's pretty much it. I did loosen the tank. The tank was not quite straight on the frame, so I got the tank straight. I took the hose off for the spray wand, which I won't use. I never use. I've got a separate spray tank I use on my UTV if I'm going to do something like that. So what I plan to do here is have an area to coil my electrical wiring and my remote pressure line, and it'll run up in this side of the cab. It'll actually be on the 6110M, not this tractor. But I'm gonna actually start on that here in a few minutes, running this wiring. Try to get that done this evening. So that'll all go right here. So I'll have easy access over here to do that, and I can also get to my pump. But you know, it's a simple setup. It is what it is. I hope it works out okay. Like I said, I hate that suction line ain't right. I'm wanting this thing ready to go. So I'll test it out this way. But if I can find some of that suction line, it won't take me long to replace that. So once I get that in, I'll get that on and right. But yeah, that's it. I see the last video I had on the sprayer, it was just pieces and parts I was showing. So I've come a long way from that video to this one, but this is how it worked out. I was going to get a video in between what I did today and what I did last weekend, but when I got done last weekend, it was pretty late at night and it was dark and it wasn't going to show up well. So I was like, I'll just wait and get a video when I get it almost together. But yeah, I got a few little issues to iron out. But other than that, if everything works out with the plumbing when I test it out, it's about ready to go feel. So other than that suction hose, but anyway, there she is. Comments below. Thanks for watching. See ya.